Hello, good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Excellent. Thank you for coming here tonight. We're gonna start our Pachamama movement second actually meeting. We had one last year, which was amazing, and I'm sure this is going to be even more amazing because I can see great people here, dear friends and family. So we're going to start with a beautiful girl, lady, my stepdaughter Rachel. She's going to open your hearts with a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song called Over the Rainbow. I'm pretty sure everybody knows it here, young, old, and very old, right? So enjoy the song, and then we'll start our. Oh no! Of course, Ed's gonna play the piano. He's the musician by excellence, my musical producer and musical partner. So Rachel, it's all yours. Go ahead. And
when all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane, just a step beyond the rain.
thank you very much, Rachel. You moved me to tears as usual. Um, anyway, I want to again thank you very much, everybody, for being here tonight. And really, it's a very special occasion for me to be able to talk to you about something very important, which is life, our life on planet Earth. Rachel is a beautiful example of what this Earth can create. See, it's okay to cry. Beautiful planet that we live in, right? And where I come from, by the way, my name is Charles Beresford. See, I'm forgetting everything I have to say, but anyway. I'm trying just to talk to you for whatever the message this earth wants to tell you tonight. I have a planned speech, but I've been meditating and asking to be guided to tell you what you're supposed to hear. Because this earth has a message for everybody, and we gotta listen, right? And if we learn how to listen, we're all making a sincere effort every day of our lives to try to feel good, for good things to happen, for magic to happen, right? And we're gonna try to show you how that magic can be happening in your life on a regular basis, right? Like it happens to me. And see, for example, I was telling my family the other day, we should get a room in the hotel for backup, right? So when we are sweating, we can go take a shower, then come back, be ready for the program. And everybody is saying, oh, that's a lot of money, we're already spending a lot of money on the room. And so it happens to be that a friend of mine calls the other day that wants to meet with me. He's here. Where's Paul? Paul, there's Paul. He lives in Mexico, by the way. We have a Mexican visitor here tonight. And he said, I want to be in that program because we know each other for 34 years, and hadn't seen him in a while. He calls me the other day out of the blue, and we're going to do some business together, agricultural business. And he said, I'm staying at the Marriott Courtyard. I said, what? I said, we have a room. Anyway, that's how much we are close. So indeed, it was great because I was sweating like a pig, like I usually do. And had a chance to take a shower, meditate, be nice and perky and clean for you guys, right? Like meditated for me. And then the girls could go and change. And so it was perfect. So that's how the magic happens. From all the hotels in all of Toronto, right? He could have gone anywhere. He chose to come here this day. So those are little signs of life that shows you all the elements are coming together, right? So anyway, relax, Gloria. My beautiful daughter, Gloria. Anyway, I was saying that my name is Charles Beresford. I got sidetracked. I'm from Peru, originally. The first. I want to tell you today what Pachamama really is and what is the message. So I'm going to ask everybody to please be with me tonight here. I know you're here, but our mind is very powerful. It can take us to India, right? It can take me to Peru, beautiful surfing waves. I'm a surfer, believe it or not. And so many things that our mind can do to us, right? That can take us away from here. I'm going to ask you for your time here tonight, just an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And there's going to be an intermission, right? So basically, we're gonna go for the presentation right now. Okay. So Pachamama means Mother Earth. That is where I come from, Peru. That's the Inca language, the Quechua. Pachamama means Mother Earth. And the symbol of the Pachamama is a spiral. I didn't know that until a year and a half ago, right? Where I had the name of the movement, but I had no idea there would be a symbol. And I was shopping at an Indian shop in Peru, on native Peruvians, and I saw this beautiful spiral and it caught my attention. I said, what does this mean? He said, well, that is the symbol of the Pachamama. And again, another magical thing. Now we have a symbol. And the spiral means that's the way the energy of the universe moves, right? It's a spiral. Have you noticed everything's like spiraling? The shells, your eyes are spirals, your belly button is a spiral. A lot of things are spirals, right, in life, the galaxies, and you see it everywhere. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, I want to introduce you to my beautiful daughter, Angela. She's no longer with us. She's in here, in this dimension that we can see, but she's in heaven. And she made all this possible for me, right? Transformed my life. She was a child with special needs. She required 24-hour care, right? She lived for 23 years. All the big experts gave her no more than 5 years of life. First 1 week, right? We brought her home to die. She wasn't dying. She was living, and lived for 23 years because of a lot of love and a lot of care. And it's because of her that I'm able to do this, right? Because I had to set up a fund for her care, which cost thousands of dollars a month, and now the fund's there. Gives me the time to be able to dedicate now to Mother Earth. So, Angela, thank you very much. The world has enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. That's Mahatma Gandhi, right? I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but that is the statement, really, of this movement. We are suffering of a major disease on planet Earth, which is called greed, right? And it's driving us all crazy. Greed for money, greed for power, greed for who's going to be the most powerful religion, who's going to be the most powerful politician, who's going to control the money, who has the most. And we're going to explore all that and see how we don't need to be that greedy, right? Let's go to the next slide. So the Pachamama is a non-profit organization, officially legalized since last Friday, right? And thank you very much. And believe it or not, when I told them this was a non-for-profit organization and charity organization, they said, oh, you can pay us in 60 days. Funds were getting short, another miracle, right? And I was very shy because, we spent a lot of money on the room and a lot of preparations, people that needed the help. And as I was writing the check, the name of the lady was Angela. Amazing, no? So Angela said, take your time, we'll put the check through in 60 days. Isn't that beautiful? Lawyers were charging me $2,500. The cheapest was, I can do it for $2,000. I did it for $255 myself. So, got the greed out of the way to begin with, right? So we are incorporated and we're charity. Anyway, so it is. The idea is to really have an effect, make a conscious shift in people, promote that, inspire you. Tonight we're here to inspire you and to inform you about this, right? Before we go for the intermission, we're going to do a little meditation. Which is very simple, right? Which is the spirit of the Pachamama is that inspiration. So to live in connection with the spirit of Mother Earth, right? And what is the spirit of Mother Earth? Everybody said, what is the spirit? Such a cosmic, how do you connect to the spirit of Mother Earth? You're going to say, we're full of crap here. Spirit of Mother. You know what? You have it in you right now. You're breathing. That's the spirit of Mother Earth. Your breath comes in and goes out. You were not even thinking about it. You're being breathed right now automatically, right? You don't have to think about breathing. It happens. And while that breath comes back, you're alive. The day that it goes out and doesn't come back, then you expire. As simple as that. Life starts on this planet with the first breath. That's the spirit. Beautiful air, beautiful oxygen that the earth has created for all of us. Clean, beautiful, incredible. And that makes us all one. I'm breathing the air you're breathing, whether you like me or not. I'm breathing the air that Hitler probably breathed, believe it or not, years ago. We all shared that breath. And the more we become aware of that breath, that air, that beautiful breath, the more united we're going to be. Right? So we want to set priorities that support the sustainability of life on Earth. We need to transform our systems and infrastructures to be more balanced, peaceful, fair for all, and in harmony with the preservation of our planet. See, all that requires a very powerful consciousness shift, because it's a good idea, right? But there has to be a shift in consciousness. You know, my brother and I were at a conference about a month ago, I guess it was, where one of the experts of the United Nations, we'll talk a little bit more about it later, was saying how this world has everything that we need, but there has to be a moral and consciousness shift, spiritual shift, for us to be able to share all this amazing wealth that the planet already has, but it requires a consciousness shift. So, creating a better world, starting with each and every one of us. I already explained what the meaning of the Pachamama is. Let's go to the next slide. And then that's a beautiful spiral from the Hubble telescope, I believe. This is amazing how the energy of the universe works that way. Don't ask me why, but that's the way it is. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We're going to do a reality check to remind us what's really going on. Is that okay? We'll do a reality check. So this is a beautiful planet Earth. And can we do the light, Sharif? Okay. Is he there? There you go. What do you guys think? Yeah. Well, that's just amazing. We're going at 70,000 kilometers an hour right now. Do you guys feel it? And here we are through the universe, not in the same space we were a second ago. All this is happening. See, what I have for years on top of my bed, a big picture of, yes, mommy? She says, you have a question? Okay. And she's making some comments. But anyway, this is, I have a galaxy to remind me that my problems are really insignificant, right? I mean, they're significant for you, and if you have pain or toothaches, of course, they're very powerful. But it's like in the dimension of life, right? Where are we, right? What is the purpose of being here? How long are we going to be here? What is the purpose of going through all this, right? My mom is, I don't want to say your age, but she's in her 80s. I'm in my 60s, and it's been a while now being here. And one thing remains clear. There's a much higher purpose in my life than just paying the bills and paying the taxes, and paying the mortgage and doing all that kind of stuff. There's a higher purpose that happens to be the reason why you're here, which is to connect with that energy, with that higher power, right? Because we're here for, we don't know how long. I was going through Mexico a few months ago with a couple of agronomists. We were making plans for our mango fields, because I'm big in the produce business. And I came back to Toronto. A week later, they were dead. You say, what a tragedy. But it was they were sitting right next to me. In the same car that we drove, they died. One of them fell asleep on the wheel and gone, finished. For me, it was a big shaker, and it was like, you could do this. You really got to concentrate on this movement and do something about it. Because the way the world's going, we need some changes, I think. Don't you think? It's been tough the last few weeks. I think some people are saying Third World War already started. Right? And that's what those guys want. Actually, they were saying we want to instigate that. We need some changes. We're going to talk more about it as we go along. And I want to contribute with my little speck of sand. At least I want to feel that I left this planet, that I made an effort to make some changes, like I've been trying all my life. But anyway, just to reality check, there's many things about life that we forget, right? You can see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. As you read this, you're traveling at 220 kilometers per second across the galaxy. 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA and are not you. The atoms in your body are 99.99999999999%. 99, empty space. And none of them are the ones you were born with. But they all originated in the belly of a star. Isn't that incredible? Human beings have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than the common potato. I love potatoes. Hence this belly. The existence of the rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. So you don't just look at a rainbow, you create it. That's a gift that we've been given as human beings. This is pretty amazing, especially considering that all the beautiful colors you see represent less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. In other words, there's dimensions there that we are not aware of because our body has its specific functions, and but some other people do, like my wife perceives things that I don't, honestly. Right? Like we were driving on the highway the other day, and she said, "Get out of that space." I said, "She's crazy." Sorry. Driving. I'm from Peru. I'm a macho guy. I'm driving. Don't tell me, like my daughter says, don't tell me don't try to run my life. That's Rachel's latest, don't tell me that's Rachel's latest model, 14 and a half going on 22. right? So sure enough, I keep going in the car that she was afraid of. Blind eye, almost killed us. And she said, you see, I told you, next time listen to me. I said, okay. She perceives things that I don't. She has that gift. Huh? That is right. No, actually I was good, because in my own perception, I was driving behind the lady. My answer to Luan was, see, that's why I kept behind. Anyways, so let's move on. And we're going to go fast on certain things that I think we have already talked about. Well, the human body has the same elements that the earth has. 75% water, hydrogen and oxygen, and 25% carbon, nitrogen. We have all the elements that the earth has, right? And we are the result of a higher intelligence that has created us, for sure. I didn't invent myself. I didn't make this face or nose that I have. I don't like my nose. But anyway, somebody told me one day, you got the nose that you deserve. But anyway, everybody has been created unique. Do we have the same faces? We don't. We're all different. This creator is amazing. But anyway, it's taken years for this evolution to happen. So here we are subject to a number of laws, principles, and energy forces that rule both the microcosmos and the macrocosmos, right? There's macro and micro going all the way in. Whether we are aware of them or not, we keep discovering them through science, spirituality, and experience. The more we learn about these laws and connect with that energy, the more in harmony and happier we will be. That's key, to be in touch with those laws. Let's go to the other one. Evolution, right? What can we say about evolution? Real simple. Some people don't believe in evolution, and I respect that. Each religion has their own way of teaching us. I was taught of Adam and Eve, right? And paradise and all that, and different religions have their own beliefs. But there's a fact that there's some evolution happening, and I was listening to an incredible science test the other day on CNN that was saying, and what's wrong with God having made it this way? Why couldn't he have chosen to make evolution what it is? Why that we have to expect that God created the earth in 7 days? It's pretty radical, right? The earth, the water, 7 days. Bingo, and then human being, boom. Take a rip off, woman. Adam's apple, we got, right? To me, my belief is God created the way it is. That's the way it is, right? And it's amazing because when we are in our mother's womb, we go from liquid to cells and we go through a process of evolution of 9 months, which proves that there's even that mini evolution that happens in 9 months. I'm pretty sure scientists pretty soon will be able to create human beings in a couple of hours. The way things are going with the GMOs and genetically modified stuff. Did you guys hear this almond now going out there that grows twice as much in half the time? Coming to a Lovelos near you pretty soon. First in the States, at least Canadians are going to try the Americans as guinea pigs first for the salmon. They don't want it sold here yet, but they wanted to sell it in the United States. Scary, but anyway. And with evolution comes the evolution of consciousness. We have evolved over the thousands and thousands of years to what we are right now. And our duty is to keep evolving now on a spiritual level, right? We've been brainwashed since we've been born to believe in the system the way it is right now, right? I remember I went to a shrink for a year. Don't worry, I'm not crazy, although I am in many ways. And this guy, I drove him nuts. I said, what? I was 16 going on 17. Why are we here? What's the purpose of being here? And you know what the guy used to tell me? You know what? Everybody asks this question. Don't even think about it. Just shut up and enjoy life, right? Don't think about it. Don't think about it. It's almost like shut up. It's like this train that is going very fast on planet Earth, and you're in it, and you ask, where are we going? I said, Don't worry about it. Why are we going so fast? Shut up. Shut up and keep doing this until you shut up and keep going, because that's the norm, right? Work, 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 work hard. You know, pay your bills, pay your taxes, have your children, be normal. What is normal, right? I said, wait a minute, right? I want to know what's the purpose of all this, right? And I got out of that train, and I had my hair down to here. It's long now, but I was a hippie. Thank you. What's that? Peace. Absolutely. I'm all there for you. We'll talk. So anyway, long story short, do you think we're going in the right direction? This is for people that are questioning that. This is not for people that are happy with what's going on, really. But anyway, we'll make you see that it's not good what's happening. So let's go to the next one. Okay, this is your typical evolutionary cartoon, from us being fishes to us becoming reptiles and mammals and monkeys. I don't know, something like monkeys, I guess. We still haven't found the missing link. There's still a missing link, but we're getting closer. I have a lot of hair, so I do look like a monkey here, and then there's you know, the brain has evolved with time. We've evolved. Our brain has evolved, right, to what it is right now. The power of intention. How do you think the birds got their wings? How do you think there's this what do you call it, the animals in Ecuador, in the Galapagos, the iguanas that go in the water. Darwin, that's where he started his theory of evolution. He was sitting on a rock, frustrated, freaking out. Then he saw this iguana that illuminated his mind, and he created a theory of evolution. Bombed out on a rock in the Galapagos, freaking out. Wow. Now, amazing theory. Let's go to the next one. And now this is how, this one way we are evolving, right? And this, sorry, this is like my son and I are evolving. McDonald's, right? This is like, this is how, obviously, women would like us men to evolve, more domesticated, right? And then this is how the banks would like us to evolve. But can you, wait, don't. So, okay, banking industry. That 2008, right? And it's still, with all due respect to bankers, as a matter of fact, we're being watched right now in Peru, Mexico, Venezuela, Spain, United States, live TV. And one of my dearest friends is being the president of one of the most prominent banks in Chile and Peru, Ripley. And he's watching this right now. Arturo, this is dedicated to you. Really, we got to be very aware that where are we being led? How many people lost their homes in the United States, right? It's been chaotic. Thank God our Canadian bankers are a lot more conservative and more compassionate, I guess, right? Anyway, let's move on. And then this is what could happen soon if you guys don't listen to me. You know, this is what could happen soon, right? Who's going to survive? They always say the cockroaches will survive us, right? They're very, those insects are very persistent and very, how do you say, resilient. We're pretty close to that, actually. We have to be careful. And then, of course, this is what we're going to talk about today here. We're talking about spiritual evolution, right? We have to go there. We have to go there. We've evolved perhaps too much technologically at this point, to the point that we're changing the DNA of things, right? And the Creator doesn't like too much when you start tampering with His creation. Let me tell you that. The earth doesn't like it that much. We're getting a lot of warnings. Those tsunamis, those earthquakes. The earth created you and I. Bottom line, we're part of this earth. The earth has its own immune system. It wants to clean itself of all these little germs that are us, that are bugging her, right? But, you know, we had that opportunity to evolve to something better. And let's go to the next one. There's different levels of consciousness in human beings. I got a chance to meet Wayne Dyer a while back, and he introduced me to a book called Power versus Force, which is a very incredible book. I recommend everybody to read it. It talks about the different levels of consciousness on planet Earth, right? And we're going to see that next. Can you change? Thank you, Gloria. This is called the map of consciousness, right? There's different levels of, as you must have seen in your life, right? And the two elements of powers on this universe, force, which is darkness, right? And power, which is really that comes from love. And there's different levels there, right? Where people are at, and then the different attributes of each level are there, right? Like Mother Teresa, for example, was, according to this book, was classified as level 600, right? Vibrating really high. And what happens is this: when a person has that kind of field of love, of energy, neutralizes the energy of thousands of other people that are not there. That's why when people criticize people that are meditating and say, oh, you're wasting your time, the power of meditation, the power the meditation has to neutralize all the negative energy and power on planet Earth, it's amazing. That's my experience. And you attract beautiful things to you too, right? So there's, from the bottom, there's the feelings of guilt and apathy, then grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, and then that's all part of the element of force, right? Where people make things, you know, the famous story of the sun and the guy in the wind competing to take the guy's coat off. I don't know, you must have heard the story in your kindergarten books. That's when I read it the first time. The sun competing with the wind. Nobody heard the story before? The sun competing with the wind to take this guy's coat off, right? And the wind said, it's no big deal. I'm going to blow really hard and take his coat off, right? And the more the wind blew, the more the guy was holding on to his coat until the wind ran out of air, right? Couldn't blow anymore. Then the sun came out and just started shining. And the heat of the sun made the guy gently take his coat off, put it in his arm, and continue walking. That's the power of love, right? And that's what we need more of in this world. So then, then you go to the higher levels: courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, the likes of Jesus Christ that came to this planet. And even the date of today's calendar is pretty much based on when the time he came, before Christ and after Christ, right? And the power that he had to transform the lives of millions, right? Let's change. And of course, this is Albert Einstein. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. That's why meditation is so important, to put yourself in that frequency, right? Let's go to the next. I've been wanting to write something called the Life Manual. Pretty ambitious project. And I know Dr. Ross came with you, the owner's manual, but it's more about your human body, right? I'm 62, going to 63. I feel I have some experience that I want to share with human beings on what life's all about, right? So to save time for the younger generations that are coming, don't waste your time, right? For example, that pretty looking girl is pretty, but check about the contents too, her heart, her soul, right? I got sidetracked in my life a few times, and I was so lucky now that I found a beautiful woman with a beautiful inner being as well. So when I gave up, I was 7 years alone. Thank you. I was 7 years alone after many, not anymore, no more, I was wiped out. And I'm a surfer. I'm persistent. And I served some pretty wild women in my life that wiped me out. And I said, no, my relationship, the most important, God. After 7 years of waiting, here she is, Luan. Okay. And I hope everybody finds their own, because it's beautiful to have that. And of course, God has given us a lot. In Christ, when he came, he said there's two things that we have to do in our life. Love God above and beyond everything, and then love your neighbor like you love thyself. That's incredible, incredible laws, right? But how do you love God above and beyond everything? We're going to get into it. But love is the power, right? Let's go next. We're subjected to many influences in our lives that have made us what we are, right? Our biological influences, our genes, our environmental influences, right? Our family, our social, cultural surroundings, educational institutions, media, economy, politics, spiritual influences, right? Religion, whatever we've done. You are a result of all that. How do you free yourself from all that conditioning in order to find that incredible thing, right? Let's continue. Let be spirit your main influence, right? Think for a minute right now, what is the biggest influence in your life right now? What is the biggest? To me, it's my 407 bill. It's huge. I got sick and didn't pay, and their interest is like 28%. That's theft. But anyway, that's another topic. But I keep thinking about it every day. What should I do with this, guys? I'm not even going to tell you how much it is because it's obscene, right? But it's a matter of principle for me what they've done, and I'm taking it. I'm going to, they're going to collapse. Anyway, it's not about this. But it's what is your main influence right now? What is really, is it your real estate license that you want to get? Is it your medical practice? Is it your mortgage? Is it your, you're worried that your wife's going to leave you or your husband's going to leave you or what? Or, I don't know. Everybody has their own priorities right now that are influencing their lives and taking their attention and their time. But be careful because your time might be up and you didn't use it the best way possible and you got influenced by all this stuff and wasted your life. Don't lose track of the main purpose. And trust me, you focus on that, you do that, and everything else puts itself in order. There's some magic about that stuff that you focus on God and meditate, do whatever you have to do, and everything works itself out. Trust me on that one, it's true. Okay, and this is very important, relationships, right? This life is about relationships, and this is something that I find very fascinating. There's something called symbiosis. Does everybody know? It's a relationship between two organisms, right? And there's one called mutualism, another one called commensalism, another one called parasitism, and the other one called neutralism. So those are the different main four symbiotic relationships in life. Let's go to explore them a little bit. Mutualism, a type of symbiotic relationship in which both the species involved benefit from each other, right? An example of mutualistic relationship would be between a hummingbird and a flower. The hummingbird gets to drink the nectar from the flower while the flower uses the hummingbird to spread its pollen to another flower. Isn't that beautiful? That's the ideal. That's the ideal. And then the next one. Commensalism is a type of symbiotic relationship in which only one of the species involved benefits the other species, and the other one goes unaffected. So it's not that bad, but an example of commensal relationship would be between a monarch butterfly and certain species of milkweed. Milkweed contains a poisonous chemical known as a cardiac glycoside, which is harmful to almost all vertebrates. Beginning in its larval stage, the monarch begins to store this poisonous chemical in its body, which is present throughout its lifespan. When a bird eats the monarch, it finds it distasteful and gets sick. Thus, birds and other predators avoid eating monarchs. In this way, the monarch benefits from the milkweed without affecting it. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, let's change. Parasitism is a type of symbiotic relationship in which only one of the species involved benefits and the other one species is harmed, right? Like the ectoparasite. An example of ectoparasite would be a deer tick and a white-tailed deer. While the tick gets its food from the deer without killing it, the deer is harmed by losing its blood to the tick and faces the possibility of getting an infection such as Lyme disease. And then this endoparasite inside the host, an example of an endoparasite would be a tapeworm. They're horrible. They're very popular in Peru, though. Well, no, my mom knows she had to kill some tapeworms and some of her children in Peru. It's very popular in Peru. But anyway, here it's not that popular. Not you? Okay. That's my younger brother, by the way, Richard. Life changed when he was born. Right? Anyway, tapeworms absorb the nutrients of their host, leaving them vulnerable to infection or illness. And then the last one? Neutralism, a type of symbiotic relationship in which neither species involved benefits or is harmed. Both organisms remain unaffected. An example of this relationship would be an American goldfinch and a great crested flycatcher. While both species of birds may obtain their food from the same plant, the goldfinch eats mostly seeds, where the flycatcher eats mostly insects. As such, neither affects the other. So why do I bring this up? We have a relationship with planet Earth. All of us, each one of us. Where are we at? What kind of relationship are you, me, are having with the Earth? Which one? I heard something? Parasitic? I didn't want to say it, but you see, a lot of us are very parasitic with the Earth. We take, and we don't give anything back. I don't want to toot my horn, but this movement is about helping people to give back to the Earth. This is an opportunity. Let's carry on. Okay, so what kind of relationship we have? See, my daughter's underlined, is that okay? Parasitic, because she feels that most of us are that. And anyway, let's move. So we've already talked about this a bit, right? We relate to each other in different ways, right? All kinds of relationship, right? And based on the power versus force principle that we were talking about. We relate to technology, communications, different types of relationships, global trade. Unfortunately, most of the relationships between people in this world are governed by money, right? A lot of relationships are governed by money, right? So, and of course, economic status, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, education, disability. Do you accept the gays? Do you accept the lesbians? Do you accept the Muslims? Do you accept the Catholics? You know what I mean? It's very complex. Let's go to the next one. The problem is the human relationship with the Earth, the symbiotic relationship, is out of balance. Let's show the next. This is pretty much a depiction of what's going on, right? The right is the ideal, the harmony, the paradise, the beauty, and the left is what we're doing to planet Earth, burning the rainforest and ripping it off, right? Let's go to the next. What have we done? What are we doing? The common worst disease, greed. Greed for money and material possessions, greed for power, politically, economically, greed for control, via commercial manipulation, ruthless and deadly competition, ideological disharmony and separation, religious disharmony, socioeconomic disparity, racial segregation, etc. Needless to say, what's happening in Paris last week, it's really very, very sad. What's even happened here a few days ago, somebody hitting a Muslim lady, right? And you know what? This city is so beautiful. The whole world lives here. Let's keep it beautiful. Let's keep it beautiful, right? It's an example of the whole humanity living in one place. 150 different languages spoken. Yeah.
Well, as an example for like greed for control by commercial manipulation, as we know, again, the attacks that happened in Paris, but there's other stuff happening in other parts of the world as well, where there's been mass killings and other acts of terrorism that we barely hear about in the media. So even that's an example of greed for control and how we are manipulating.
Yeah. Who's the most powerful religion, right? Let's continue. Can everybody see that? It's called an infographic. Very self-explanatory. That's the environment based on ego. And of course, I just found out the other day, because I was trying to understand this chart myself, The person on the bottom is a woman. You guys notice that, right? It's a woman, and the man is on top of all the food chain. And then this is the echo one, where man and woman are part of the system, and we have respect for all the beings on planet Earth. That happens with transformational shift. The effects of selfishness and greed on the world's economy. As beings who inhabit this world, our levels of consciousness reflect on the pyramid of wealth on planet Earth. This is how we have evolved so far. We've done this. All of us, because there's a few guys in the top with all the wealth and a bunch of suckers in the bottom that are supporting the guys. And it's only 300 guys. We're going to say it's only 300. We can put them in the plane. And anyway, we shouldn't talk about it. 300 guys, enough to fill a 767. The control, everybody else. Economic growth and social justice. Are economic growth and social justice incompatible? Economic growth is one of the most powerful and pervasive ideas of our time, one that is never questioned. How much is your country growing? 5%, 6%. Does it mean happiness? Does it mean equality for everybody? No, absolutely not. How are we measuring our growth? Lately, the OECD from the United Nations that I'm a part of is starting to measure the growth of countries and the success of the countries by the happiness of the people. Finally, how happy people are. Because a lot of the very successful economies in the world, like Japan, the suicide rate is very high because of all the pressures. Right? Professor Jason Hickel and activist Alnor Lara, right, discussed the fallacy of economic growth, the battle for social justice, and how to organize against the neoliberal system. And I want to tell you, we know this person, so this study is very truthful. Change it, Laura. This, has anybody seen this before? It's called the pyramid of wealth, right? And there you go, right? Where you see the top two parts of the pyramid, 83% of the world controls so much wealth, right? Most of the wealth, right? And then the bottom, most of the people have less wealth on the top, right? This is a very illegal pyramid. We were talking about, I don't know if you guys remember there was pyramid schemes going around. They were declared illegal by the authorities because they wanted their pyramid to be the only one, right? Let's change. There's a video. We're going to come to an intermission very shortly, so.
People are talking a lot about inequality these days, about the fact that the richest 1% have so much more than everybody else. But most of the focus seems to be on the United States. And it strikes me that the same story needs to be told about global inequality too. So I did some research, and this is what I found from reliable sources like the UN. It turns out that while the US is totally out of whack, things are actually way worse for the planet as a whole. Let's start with this graph. A perfectly even distribution of wealth among all living people, with everyone divided into 5 equal groups. Now, let's show how much each group actually has. Shocking, right? 80% of the world's people barely have any wealth. It's hard to even see them on the chart. Meanwhile, the richest 2%, they have more wealth than half of the rest of the world. Let's look at this chart another way. Let's take the whole world's population, all 7 billion of us, and reduce it to just a representative 100 individuals. Here they are, poorest people on the left, richest people on the right. Now let's show how the world's total wealth, roughly $223 trillion, is distributed. The vast majority have practically nothing. Nothing with which to educate their children, nothing with which to pay for basic medicines. While the richest 1%, they've accumulated 43% of our world's wealth. The bottom 80%, meanwhile, that's 8 out of every 10 people, have just 6% between them. But even this doesn't really show how extreme things have become. The richest 300 people on Earth have the same wealth as the poorest 3 billion. So the number of people it takes to fill a mid-sized commercial aircraft have more wealth than the populations of India, China, the US, and Brazil combined. We can also see this difference geographically, with a huge and growing gap between a few rich places versus the majority of the world. For most of history, things were much more equal. 200 years ago, rich countries were only 3 times richer than poor countries. By the end of colonialism in the 1960s, they were 35 times richer. Today, they're about 80 times richer. Rich countries try to compensate for this by giving aid to poor countries, about $130 billion each year. That's a lot of money. So then why does the wealth gap keep getting bigger? One reason I found is that large corporations are taking more than $900 billion out of poor countries each year through a form of tax avoidance called trade mispricing. On top of this, each year poor countries are paying about $600 billion in debt service to rich countries on loans that have already been paid off many times over. And then there's the money that poor countries lose from trade rules imposed by rich countries to get access to more resources and cheaper labor. Economists from the University of Massachusetts calculate that this costs poor countries about $500 billion a year. Altogether, that's more than $2 trillion that flows from some of the poorest parts of the world to the richest. Every year. Rich governments like to say they're helping poor countries develop. But who's developing who here? This makes me think that there's something wrong with the basic rules of the global economy. It can't be okay that the wealth of our planet is becoming so concentrated in the hands of such a tiny number of people. The only reasonable response, it seems to me, and our only hope, is to change the rules.
Interesting, isn't it? We're almost done with this first part, but I want to just mention something that this great Canadian guy, David Suzuki, right, has said about the economy and the environment. And of course here, if this is good for the economy, we need a new economy. That's the oil sands and all that. There are some things in the world we can't change. That's gravity, entropy, the speed of light, in our biological nature that requires clean air, clean water, clean soil, clean energy, and biodiversity for our health and well-being. Protecting the biosphere should be our highest priority, or else we sicken and die. Other things like capitalism, free enterprise, the economy, currency, the market, are not forces of nature. Right? We invented them. They are not immutable, and we can change them. It makes no sense to elevate economics above the biosphere. Right? What's more important, profit or nature or life? Right? Think about it. We want to stimulate that thought, right? We want to provoke that thought. So we're going to, is this the intermission part? Okay. The effects of selfishness and greed on the environment and global agriculture. As with the economy, our levels of consciousness also reflect on the environment, global agriculture, and humanity's overall health. Okay. Food production and population growth. So we were talking about the economy, now we're talking about food production. How our consciousness of greed is affecting all this and planet Earth and causing all these wars and all these differences and terrorism. Approximately 11% of Earth's surface is dedicated to crops. According to latest statistics of 2015, 7.3 billion people currently inhabit this planet. The global population, however, is expected to increase by more than 2 billion people between 2010 and 2050. That's a 27% increase, almost double the population of China in a mere 40 years. To keep up with this massive population growth, it is estimated that farmers will have to produce as much as 70% more food by 2050, with an additional 200 million tons of meat per year. Roughly 90% of this new food production will have to come from yield increases on pre-existing farmland, as arable land is becoming increasingly limited with less room for expansion, and is, of course, coupled by climate anomaly, is becoming chaotic. But listen to me, GMO is not the solution. I'm in the business. It's a big lie. It's business. We're going to talk about it later. Yeah. Global meat production. Approximately 1/3 of all grain produced worldwide is fed to cattle and other livestock. It is estimated that more than 17 pounds, 8 kilograms of grain, and 972 gallons of water is required to produce only 2.2 pounds of beef. That's really indecent. As global demand for meat products has drastically increased over recent decades, so too have concerns over the environment and global food shortages. This is due in part to the vast amount of resources, grain, water, and land, that are being used each year to produce meat rather than to feed the hungry. It's true. All the effort that we put in to feed the cows, and pigs, and chicken, if that same effort went to feed people, the whole of humanity would eat 14 times over every year. I'm a vegetarian for 43 years. Not that I'm trying to convert you, but think about it, right? To reduce the amount of resources consumed for meat production, some farmers have turned to experimenting with high-protein grain mixes, like quinoa, for example, and/or other unnatural methods, i.e. the use of hormones and GMOs to increase the weight of their livestock. Not only are such methods harmful to the livestock, they're also damaging to the consumer's health and the environment. Okay, where's your picture? You didn't find? Okay. Okay. Some of my grandma's lifetime consumption. One day my brother and I were horsing around, and we used to pull my grandmother's leg a lot, right? So I started it out, and actually Richard my brother, fine-tuned the numbers for me. Numbers of cows eaten in here, 91 years of life, 20 cows. Can you imagine somebody, you're going to eat these 20 cows? Chicken, 1,000 chicken. We calculated day by day because she liked chicken a lot. Everything was chicken for her. Did you have your chicken today? Chicken, 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 chicken. Yeah. Pigs, 25 piggies. Ducks, 500. Fish, about 2,000. And potatoes, about 5 tons. It's quite a bit. Anyway, that's an example of one human being in my family. Solution to world hunger. This is so sad. The 760 million tons of grain used to feed animals to produce meat could feed 11 billion people and end global food shortage 14 times over, right? Okay. Some statistics. This is Paul McCartney. As you can see, he's a staunch vegetarian. Meat production is responsible for 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, with some scientists saying that the percentage is higher. Skipping meat for one day a week can reduce your annual carbon footprint by as much as not driving your car for a whole month. This is Sir Paul McCartney, right? Yes, Gloria put it, those are veggie burgers, by the way. Okay. Yeah. Some statistic, an area of Amazon rainforest the size of 100 football fields is cut down every hour to create room for grazing cattle. Canada is the 4th largest gas-emitting country on planet Earth. Maybe this is why kids are obese. That includes me. 99 cents for Coke and $1.99 for water. 99 cents for a Maki burger. $4.99 for, they're offering salad now, but look at how much it costs. Okay, so intermission. So thank you for keeping up with us so far. There's going to be a little bit more. We want to call for a little break, so people need to go to the washroom or just simply go. It's fine. But we'd like to invite you to continue a little further. There's some treats, some drinks, some food back there. We're going to give a 10-minute break. Is that okay? And then we're going to come back. There's going to be a song when we come back. Thank you.